Welcome, everybody. As I say every single week, I interview some amazing person that is from around the blockchain or a crypto lifer, so to speak. And this person I've been on, I believe I've been on ATB with maybe once or twice. Also, I've been on her show. She's known all over the internet, all over the space. She has taken over crypto. She is the woman of crypto. She is the face of cryptocurrency. She represents everyone, but she is probably one of the strongest women in cryptocurrency that we've seen. And take it away today is Wendy O. Wendy, thank you so much for coming on to the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you for sparing, she's a busy woman, and I'm really appreciate that she's on the show today. Wendy, how's your day going? How are you feeling? How's everything going? Just off the bat.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Today is super busy because today's like Monday, but it's really Tuesday because there's the holiday yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so yeah, this is gonna be a really good show, guys. I might pop off. I might start yelling. We don't know yet. We'll see.
And, how do you balance, like I have two kids, how do you balance family life and having a channel? It's not easy. What do you do? Juggling employees, juggling your kids, juggling what you're doing. I always see you putting the little one with a smiley face on, which I really respect that too. I watch what you do there, keeping the identity off the line. But yeah, how do you do that? Being a mom and also a mom of crypto, how do you deal with both of those life, balances?
I have to stay busy. If I don't stay busy, I feel like an absolute like worthless human being. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the ADHD or if it's like the old school Italian upbringing that I had. I have to be busy all the time. So if I'm not busy, like my daughter's at school from like 7 till 3, like what am I going to do in the day? And I want to be able to work from home. So I just balance both. And, life happens, stuff happens.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm the same way. I feel like I'm either on all the time or I'm like sitting there thinking life is going nowhere. It's either I'm like running the show and going, grinding, or I'm like asking myself, what am I doing with my space? What am I doing with my time?
Right.
So, you always seem to be a crypto person for the people. You go over a lot of, you're not too political, but you dive into what pushes and pulls the working person, right? And, I saw DeSantis come out and he's also pro Bitcoin. And I felt a little, it was slightly facetious. I'm not sure, though. I'm open-minded. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings who support or don't support. But what's your take on that? What's your take on politicians jumping on the Bitcoin bandwagon? Do you think they're going to do what they say they're going to do? Are they doing it for votes? How do you feel about DeSantis claiming to let us do Bitcoin?
I don't care. I don't care if they're just saying it for votes. I don't care any way, shape, or form. What I do care about is I am going to be voting for a pro Bitcoin candidate. I don't care if it's Kennedy. I don't care if it's DeSantis. I don't care if it's Biden. I probably wouldn't vote for him because I just think he's way too old. I do think that we need term limits. I know most of these people are over 67 years old, but he's not coherent in any way, shape, or form. I will vote for a blue person if they're pro Bitcoin and anti CBDC. I don't care. And the reason why is I think that America is so self-absorbed and wrapped up in our social issues, which could kind of make sense because we're a big melting pot of all these different cultures, which is fantastic. But mainstream media really uses those and they weaponize them against us. And I don't like that. And I think that Bitcoin and crypto assets do stand for liberty for the people, by the people. And I think that retail should have the same luxuries as the rich people do. I don't think it's fair that you have to make $250,000 a year to invest in traditional financial products. I don't think you should have to have over 1 million in assets to do that. Just because you have money doesn't mean you're smart. So I will definitely be voting for somebody who is pro Bitcoin, who is pro crypto, and who doesn't want a CBDC. And I think a lot of those social issues will minimize themselves as people have access to more money. When you have access to money, you're not focused on the little itty bitty differences that people have. That's just my personal opinion, though. And if it ends up not being DeSantis, if it's somebody else that supports it, they have my vote. I don't care about the social issues anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting because they try to bring everything in together. Like, if I can vote for this, but I can't have that, and if I can't have this, and at the end of the day, we know what cryptocurrency stands for, right? And it's banking yourself, getting away from the biggest legacy financial system that has been parasitic, really, right? The central banks, they basically print our money to zero. They're going to continue to print the American dollar to zero. That's what they'll do. They've done it to every fiat currency throughout history. It just showed over time, right? So with that being said, now, I was thinking, let's start our own party, right? Is that viable? You know what I mean? How long will that pick up? I said, I could start it today, the blockchain party, and maybe 50 years from now, like it can catch on. What's your thoughts on starting the blockchain party and trying to make a new party altogether?
So most Americans are stupid. And I apologize to anybody. Actually, I don't apologize if you took offense to that, because we're dumbed down in school. Our parents both, you have to be in a 2-parent household that's working. Sometimes they're single parents, which whatever it is. And, we don't have a lot of time to focus on education. And especially if you look at the stuff that's being pushed through our schools. There's always going to be some sort of mainstream media. There's always going to be some type of censorship that happens. So having a third party or a fourth party, it's simply not going to work. I wish it would. I wish it was that simple. But there's always going to be overlords, and there's always going to be powers that be. So it's like, with me personally, it's like you go for the person of the two lesser evils, because as these people become more and more powerful, they're going to be pushing a particular type of agenda. And let's face it, most Americans are too lazy to rise up and do what we initially did to get here in the first place. I would love to have another party that was pro Bitcoin and crypto, whatever, but I feel like there's going to be a lot more power for the people that are reaching out to their local communities, people like us that are making content, talking about this, helping to educate. A lot of the change does start at home, but again, Americans are just kind of too lazy to do so.
Yeah, it's like if you go around and ask people, what the capital of most of the states are, like I've seen these videos recently, and like our new generation's like, what? Like Topeka, Kansas? Like it's just like they don't really know what's going on. You know what I mean? But hopefully we can get them to figure it out through cryptocurrency. Still, if you walk around today, I don't know if
I'm going to interrupt you. You can't
Yeah.
say cryptocurrency anymore. You have to call them crypto assets. They are assets. They're not currencies. They could be. Bitcoin can be used as a currency, but I think if we want to get positive regulation pushed forward, we need to start referring them to crypto assets, because they are an asset. And again, if you guys want to look up the definition of an asset, or any type of traditional financial jargon, head over to investopedia.com. They're free. I wish they would sponsor my channel, but I always direct my audience over there, because it's basically a free dictionary of all these different terms that you can bookmark and read and educate yourself.
Yeah, I was on there this morning, just like looking at things that I know, and like it led me to another link, and I hit charts, like as I was talking about, I always go over the head and shoulder pattern, and I was like, oh, so,
right.
And then the next thing you know, I was on there just looking like, what do they say about it? How many examples do they have? And I almost find myself over there. I really appreciate you saying that. I don't even feel offended at all, because it's crypto asset, right? And I always say currency. This is my funny joke with currency. If you threw a leaf on the water in a current, like on a stream, it would be like, it would go by really fast, see? And I'd be like, a currency. So like, currency is like, it's not there forever, right? It's not meant to actually stand the test of time. It's meant to actually drift off into the past, right? So we should say crypto assets. I really appreciate you saying that. I'm going to start doing that and pushing that, because also we're falling into the Gensler trap, right? By calling it a cryptocurrency, because then we're able to let people, pigeonhole it and box it into a box. So that's why you're Wendy O. That's why you're innovative. That's why you start the new trends. I appreciate that. And that really, really, that's a great point. So, all right. So we figured out, whoever is going to run for office, you're not a party person. You're a crypto asset person. It depends on who's representing crypto assets properly. And if we get the person to kind of say the right words and do the right things, hopefully they'll come in and do what they say they're going to do. I feel like we're such a loyal group of people too. They know if they say something and they don't do it, it's going to be just a complete 360, so, and I listened to RFK when I was in Miami, and I loved his speech, it got me hyped. I got excited, he also brought up nodes a little bit. He talked about, being able to be a procurer of the network, not having to KYC your wallets. Things that I actually didn't think he was going to go on a limb to say. And he also said some other things I'll leave off topic here, but I was really excited to see kind of what he said and what he represented.
Remember the family he comes from, and remember the horrible things that they did. A lot of people don't want to talk about that at all. So yeah. I always remind people that, public servants are great, but they're supposed to serve the public. And a lot of them don't do good things behind the scenes. A lot of people in power don't. So that's why I'm just voting for the person that is the lesser evil. And I don't idolize any of these people unless I actually know you. I'm not gonna I'll showcase decency to you, but as far as getting my respect, you need to meet me in real life. We need to chop it up, and you need to prove to me why I need to respect you. I don't have to respect you, but I will showcase every single human, most humans' decency. And I feel like that's another big problem we have in America is everybody looks to celebrities, they look to YouTubers, they look to all these people that they don't know, and they're like, oh my God, they idolize. Don't be idolizing anybody. Like if you want to idolize somebody, go look with inside your family, look at community centers, look at people inside your actual community that are doing good. Maybe you had a teacher, maybe there was somebody who impacted your life. give that person the recognition they deserve. Just because they're not some famous person on the internet or movies or whatever, doesn't mean that you shouldn't give homage to where it's due. And I feel like that's another big problem that Americans have, is we like to idolize all these false prophets, and it's just kind of ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. My wife's very traditional. Like, her favorite person was probably her dad. You know
Good
what
for
I mean?
her.
You know, yeah, she's a very honorable woman. I love her. She loves you. My daughter loves your show. I have two daughters, so I've always been surrounded by three
How old
women.
are they?
I have a 2-year-old and an 8-year-old.
We need to get the kids together, because my daughter loves to play, especially that you have girls. Forget it. Like,
all they do is just have a blast. You know what I mean?
They'll be playing and dancing and having a great time. They'll probably start a band, because my daughter plays guitar. But anyway,
my daughter plays the piano a little bit too, so that she gets something to that. So the next topic I was going to bring up is with new innovation, right? New people talking about all this new tech. We have ChatGPT out there, right? And some people are afraid it's going to take every job away, right? It's going to kill the working class. If you don't know how to use any type of new age technology, you're going to be pushed to the wayside. You know, what's your thought on ChatGPT? You know, have you used it before? Is it something that you're interested in? Can it be used in a good way? You know, what's your opinion on that idea?
I think it's really interesting that they're not regulating AI, but they want to regulate crypto assets. I'll tell you why. My personal opinion, you guys can think that I'm crazy for this. I don't really care. I think that they like AI because AI will in fact take jobs from people. There is ways to harness it in the proper way, but we're not going to see that happen in America, because if you keep people poor, if you keep them in poverty, if you keep them stupid, if you keep them lazy, they're easy to manipulate. And I think this also segues into, and I'm not anti-AI. I just don't think it's going to be harnessed properly. And people have to remember, just because it's a robot doesn't mean that it's unbiased, okay? Just because it's a robot doesn't mean it's unbiased, because the person that coded that software could put anything in that code that they want it to do. So what I think is going to happen with AI, I think it will in fact take a lot of jobs away. And what they're going to do is they're going to use that to institute a UBI. UBI is dangerous because it basically allows everybody to be on it's two level of a playing field. And most people are very lazy, especially in today's current society, due to the foods we eat, the type of content we consume, etc. That's not a slam at anybody. It is what it is, though. And so if you have UBI and you get enough money just to kind of live and skate by, why would you want to compete with anybody else? Competition is crucial for all aspects of life, especially in humans. Like, from the beginning to, like, for example, when you met your wife, did you have to compete for her a bit?
Yeah, of course, right? I had to make sure she saw me at the party I was at. I wanted her to kind of flash off a little bit, flash my wings, so to speak, right?
Yeah, you competed to get your wife. If there wasn't, like, if you didn't compete, she probably wouldn't have looked twice at you. It is natural for humans to compete, especially for men versus women or vice versa. And that's like one of the easiest comparisons I can make that's happened throughout history. Like, if you want another human's attention, you have to compete. Like, they're just not going to be like, oh, they're just not going to fawn to you. And I feel like without competition, humans are just going to get more complacent and be in this kind of like weird place where they just stop competing for things. Like, and even the taco or the pizza shop comparison that I give all the time, it's like, we have one pizza shop, and when you have that, that's kind of like a monopoly. And then there's another person in the neighborhood that's like, hey, they just have cheese pizza. Well, I could put pepperoni on the pizza, or I could put mushrooms, or I could do whatever. So they open a shop across the street that has more options. That's called competing. That's called competition. So then pizza shop A is like, hey, F these people. I want, we want more business. So they're going to continue to compete. It's going to be this beautiful back and forth. And then there's going to be more shops that open. I think with UBI and AI and, not the need to compete anymore, we're not going to have a lot of competition. And then when you don't have a lot of competition, you're forced to use whatever's around you, and it might not be the best product or service that you need for you and your family, but people won't care because they're just going to be getting their bribery money every month or whatever it is.
Yeah, you will have nothing and be happy, right?
With the CBDC, because they need the CBDC to facilitate this.
Yeah. I'm very concerned about CBDC. I don't like to use the word fear and worry because I feel they're fake emotions acting real, So I always change my language when I'm looking at something. But I am concerned about a CBDC, I mean? Especially when I saw the truckers getting shot off in Canada, that was my first, oh no, what else would they do to us? Where else is this going? And, Canadians were always such, happy-go-lucky people. I remember watching, a documentary. We keep our doors unlocked and everything's great, and to see kind of the weird things happening in our kind of our sister country there up above, it's, I didn't think those things were going to happen that fast, but it definitely woke me up to realize, wow, half the reason I go live on my channel is I go over coins and charts, but I'm trying to wake people up. I want people to realize it. Take your life by storm. Do what you want to do with your life. Don't become a clone, right? Like you're saying, don't become a chat GPT clone and just just take things for what they are. And I love what you just said about the pizza shop. It is true. Competition breeds competition, right? Otherwise, you just sit. There's a pizza shop in my neighborhood, the worst pizza ever. They've been there for 20 years, you know? And there needs, like, someone should come out and make, like, a really fresh basil slice, you know, that will blow them out the water. I'm always thinking, I'm
hungry, be quiet. I'm trying to do keto this week, be quiet.
You know, I've been eating everything recently. That's been my new fix, I guess, since I've been going through some things. I've been, like, eating my pain away. But yeah, that's now, could anyone use it for good though? Like, I have seen some people say, hey, just learn how to use it the right way. Like, and you know, like, I know there's like I have my edit team edit videos every day, and then I'll be sitting there cruising through Instagram, and it'll be like, make 20, 30 short videos in 1 hour, you know, just post a link in here and throw it in there. And like, you know, and I'm like, and I say my team,
you still have to have somebody, you still have to have somebody go back and look at it. I mean, but as far as like, yeah. And I think one good thing is, a lot of people don't know this. I worked in healthcare for 7 years. I worked in infectious disease, HIV/AIDS.
Oh, wow.
And most of the doctors, they would Google up medication interactions. And I'm thinking, holy crap, you're making 6 figures. I'm making like $40,000 a year, and you can't even do your job properly. But I think that AI is going to disrupt the healthcare industry properly, where people can actually, you know, figure out different diagnoses and different things that are wrong with them. Doctors will use it or hopefully aggregate the data better so people get better care. Because let's face it, in America, the care is absolutely terrible. So I think it'll be good for that. I think it'll be good for that aspect. But that's one industry that it could disrupt. And I think that there's going to be other industries that would be good for, or that it would be good for. But at the same time, I don't know enough about it yet. It just. I'm seeing all these things on the internet, and I'm like, guys, like, we still need to think for ourselves. Like the music industry, it's going to be a terrible thing for the music industry, for artists, for people that are real creatives. It's really going to take away the beauty of creating for a lot of those guys. But I think healthcare, it's going to be absolutely great.
I like how you bring up your past profession. I was a video editor, right? So I was the guy who sat there and I would take in the footage, you know, put it all time coded out, sit there for hours till my eyes burned, make sure every shot, it had to be to the frame. If I was a frame off, I'd have to go back and find where I made a mistake after like 5 hours of insane work. That's why I gave up. I got burnt out at one point. But now I'm seeing, oh, just slap it in this AI editing software and it'll go person to person. It'll do the interview for you. And again, someone has to look at it, but now that's a lot of work taken out. And I'm seeing a lot of my friends that are in this industry, and I'm like, man, they're going to be out of a job. Like, because there's going to be companies, they're already a cutthroat industry. Like, they didn't care about you at all in the TV industry. Like, you were a dime a dozen. There was another person that wanted to jump on in and think they were in Hollywood or whatever, you know. I was usually working for Netflix. My last job, I was making David Letterman's show, My Next Guest News Introduction. And I was watching all the behind the scenes and, like, putting all the things in order. And there was times where they wouldn't even use, like, on a big show like that, they would forget to, like, actually take time code. They had 100 GoPros, and I'm sitting there trying to find, like, somebody's foot to match a foot. And, like, and I did think, man, if we could have some type of AI to do this, you know, and eventually there were some grouping websites, but I can see how it could definitely kick a lot of friends and people I know that have, and the thing is this too, I got out of the industry realizing it was going nowhere. You know what I mean? I was only going to get to a certain place, and I was going to be in a room for 10 hours a day with my 1 hour lunch. And then they were going to give me a little hiatus every once in a while. And I just realized it was going nowhere, and I wasn't going to be able to be who I really wanted to be. But now I see some people, they've worked all the way up. They've been in the industry. They've done their 10,000 hours. They're vested in the union. And watch, they're just, we'll just delete you real quick when we find an app that can do what you did in an hour, and it took you 10 hours, you know? So it definitely is going to throw people that, you know, big businesses are going to move on, right? They're going to take what they want and leave the rest to the side. It's pretty sad. I already see some of it happening already. But thank you for what you did. That's really cool. I helped doing documentaries because as a cameraman, I would just find weird places, and I ended up with this woman that used to, a man or woman, I don't know, you know, but used to dress up like Tina Turner and do songs for the kids. It's funny that she passed recently, but and I met a bunch of kids that were born with HIV, you know, and they were at a summer camp, and just, you know, they never did anything to have that in their life, right? And they had to.
That's one of the reasons why I quit, is because company started expanding rapidly, and some of the clients that we had were from when we absorbed another company. And I had this one client, she kept having babies and refused to do what they recommended. And it was like pulling teeth to get her to do anything positive for her, because she was such a nightmare. We let the social workers and it was because I had just had my daughter, and that was one of the things, is like, I can't do this. Like, this is just, it's so hard to watch people not take care of their kids and have no power of it. Like we had so much documentation, but the social workers, nobody cared because she wasn't actually harming her kids in the traditional ways. And it's just
yeah, but you could see the insight in like where it was going to go. And it was just,
well, we knew where it was going is because she had multiple kids and she wasn't giving them their medication and doing all that type of stuff. And if there's certain protocols that you follow that minimizes the risk for them to have it the rest of their life when they're newborns, and she didn't do it. And I just was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore.
yeah.
I didn't mean to take a dark turn, but
No. I want you on the show because you're real. And my show, I think the other day someone was hitting me up like, why have you grown? Like, what is going on? And they tried to ask me like what my secret sauce was, you know? And
you're like, I show up every day.
Yeah, I said I show up every day and I cry sometimes. You know, that's what I said. You know, I'm not afraid to cry. Like I was like, today people were messing with me on my show, but I was just like, you know what, delete you. I was like, get out of here. I was like, I'm not trying to hear this. And people are like, oh, you're soft skinned. And I was like, get out of here. You know,
no, I block people all the time is because they make me more stupid by hearing some guy on Twitter. He didn't even make sense what he was saying. It's like, I'm blocking you because you're making me stupid. I tell my audience that too. Like, you can ask me any question you want to ask me. I'm more than happy to answer it. There's not a stupid question, but when you start degrading me or saying dumb things that aren't even there's no, if you're going to tell me something that's degrading, but you don't have an argument to prove it, I'm going to delete you from my life. I'm going to X you out because you're making me dumb. Like, you're wasting my time. You're making everybody else dumb. So you go find somebody who's going to blow smoke up your behind. You won't get that with me.
Yeah, it could happen. And speaking of blowing smoke up our behind, right? You know, it kind of brings me to where we're at again with our third topic, which is the debt ceiling, right? You know, I like a few different topics. People, I was saying, anytime the government acts incompetent, it's just a billboard for Bitcoin, right? Because it just shows that like this organized, centralized government really can't seem to handle anything properly, right? Every time they get a big decision to make or something that they have to actually make a call on, seems to be a pretty strange call, you know, on either side of the gavel, right? Or on either side of the political spectrum. So what's your take on the debt ceiling? Were they just trying to put people into fear? Do they know exactly all along what they're going to be doing with this? And you know they're going to have to keep kicking the can down the road. Like, how do you feel about that?
So a friend of the channel and a friend of mine, Eric Voorhees, tweeted this. It took over 200 years for U.S. federal debt to hit the first $2 trillion. It now takes 2 years for every additional $2 trillion.
Think about that, everybody.
And I know some of that, a little bit of that is inflation, but do we really know where our money is going? No, we can't track it.
They left all the equipment in Afghanistan. To this day, that boggles my mind. When I just Apache helicopters and Humvees. I'm like, what? Like, I was just like, we just have money to just throw away while I see people waiting in bread lines. Like
4 out of 10 Americans had to cut back costs on food. That's ridiculous. That's not okay.
No.
So what they're going to do is they're going to increase the debt ceiling and they're going to continue to spend like a-holes. And the reason why is because they want to institute a CBDC. And I think that they're going to wipe the debt out that way. They're going to make everything digital, which is pretty much is digital anyways. That's my personal opinion. Some people think I'm crazy. I don't care. That's what I think is going to happen. I just don't see any, it's like they want to increase this, they want to increase that. But in your household, if you want something, who manages the money, you or your wife?
I mean, we both kind of handle it. Like,
but if you guys...
The last final decision will probably be mine. I'll be like, no, we can't do that. Or yes, we can do that.
But if you guys can afford, like, if you guys can't afford something, are you going to do it? Unless it's an emergency, God forbid.
Yeah, right. No, we can't.
You're going to say no.
Yeah, you got to pull back. Yeah, for sure. Like recently, I want to spend time with my mom, but my mom has a small house and she lives in Martha's Vineyard. They bought the house a long time ago, so it's not like we're loaded. It seems like it would such. And to see my mom in July, it's going to cost $6,000 or $7,000 for 5 days or 6 days. And so I'm going to wait for my sister to come, have her week, and then I'm going to probably come a week later. And it's just like, you know what I mean? And like, technically, maybe we could afford it, but at the same time, just because you have money, you don't spend it on things just because you can. You know what I mean? Like, you want to put it where it can work the best for you. Like, I'd rather buy maybe more Cardano with that, or maybe some, you know what I mean? So like, it would be a great week. I get it. But yeah, we have to cut back costs because of like just rising inflation. And things we used to buy just a year ago are like if you spend $60 at the grocery store just a year and a half ago, it's $100 now, $110. Like, it's crazy how fast. Like, now we can't leave the store without spending $100. And sometimes we used to go in just to get a few little things, and somehow it's still averaging $100 every time we get out of the car. And thank God I have my YouTube channel. Thank God I got some good connections, and things have been going well for me. But if I hadn't broken free and still did the old job I used to have, I would have been so stressed out. Like, life would not be fun at all. I would be counting every penny. I wouldn't be able to buy as much cryptocurrency, and the whole spectrum of my life would be different. So I will tell people, follow your dreams. Hopefully your dreams and passions can get you to a different place. But at the same time, I'm not going to spend money just because I can. I find that ridiculous. Like, we got a new screen door. We got a deck door put in, right? And it needs a screen door. It's been back ordered for a year. Lowe's said they're going to have it, then they can't. Pella says they have it, then they can't. Finally, she gets on the phone, and I heard her last week, and they're like, $800. Oh, because it needs tracking, and we need to install. And I said to my wife, $800 for a screen door?
Yikes.
I said, well, buy that magnetic screen and just
slap
it on. But then I went to Miami, and of course, what she did? She ordered that screen door when I was in Miami.
But it's essential. You do need it because you don't want bugs and stuff in the house to cause us other issues.
No, of course. So they raised the debt ceiling, right? Once the debt ceiling gets raised, do you see this as a pro for Bitcoin? You know what I mean? Do you think Bitcoin could pump due to this? Is this something, maybe they print more money and inject the S&P, and all the tech stocks could start to rise?
This is the thing, and I could be wrong here, but if we're in a recession. If Americans are struggling and they don't have disposable income, where's the money coming from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I could be wrong here. I have no problem being wrong, but that's just a question that I like to ask. Bitcoin is great, but it's a luxury purchase right now. Investing is luxury. Buying gold is luxury. Buying cars as assets is luxury. Like, when you're in a recession, and the people that it's going to benefit are the super rich people. But if you don't have disposable income, like, what are you supposed to do? If you can't afford to feed your family, your priority is to feed your family.
Yeah, no, my one way to wiggle out of this creatively is, 4 or 5 years ago, we would tell them about Bitcoin, and they would be like, and now they might have even less, but maybe they'll still squeeze out $5 because they realize there's just no choice at this point, right? They have to get into cryptocurrency. They have to find another boat to get out of the sinking ship. But that's also, that's, some positive thinking with a little bit of creative answering there. But I feel like people are more apt to listen to me now. Someone 2 or 3 years ago that would like, Bitcoin, huh? Once I showed them SVB, do you want to wait in line for your money? Or do you want your money in your hand? And I love tweeting things like, I'd rather own one Bitcoin and not need it than need one Bitcoin and not have it. And I tell that to people as a hedge. I said, because a lot of people still think you need to buy a whole one. I'll ask my friend who's a waiter, or my friend that's a mechanic, and hey, did you buy any Bitcoin yet? I've been telling you, I can't afford that. It's 30 grand. How much is one? I'm like, you don't need to buy one. I said, you can buy 0.0001. You can buy $5 a week. You can buy whatever your lifestyle can handle, you know what I mean? And a lot of people still don't realize that. I think if you walk around the streets right now and still ask people what Bitcoin is, despite they'll say, oh, it's pretty bad, Like, even right now, I had to drop off an engine to get fixed, and the guy was like, what do you guys do for a living, me and my wife? I'm like, oh, we teach cryptocurrency. He goes, tough racket right now, It's like people think we're in like a hole, and like our lives are going down the tubes.
I think it's a good argument for Bitcoin fundamentally, but it's like, unless that they're going to be giving stimulus checks like they did prior to the panorama, I don't see financially how it would impact it. But again, I could be wrong. I just think like I'm a poor person again. It's like, if I don't have money to feed my family, I'm not going to be buying a speculative asset. I'm not going to be investing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Is there enough big money to pour in? Do you think we'll still,
are you
still a fan of this 4-year cycle? Or you still think we'll get an all-time high 2025 and we're going to rip to the upside and have a great bull run?
I hope, but I don't right now, just because of what's happening in America and with the CBDCs and everything. I don't like to speculate too terribly much, because I did have a prediction that Bitcoin was going to get the 80% retrace, which I was wrong. I was 5,000 away from, I called the bottom within like $5,000, which, years from now we'll look back and be like, hey, that was pretty good.
Yeah, you called the bottom. Yeah.
Pretty close, but it's $5,000 away. It happens. But the point is like, it's really going to kind of depend on what happens, especially with regulation too. Like, people don't understand how important regulation is. Like, oh, Gary's not going to come after Bitcoin. They're going to come after it for different reasons, for environmental reasons. And if the United States stops, if they completely ban crypto, which I'm not saying they are, but it is something people should have in their trading and investing journals, like a bearish scenario, like where, how are Americans going to buy Bitcoin?
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna have to move to Dubai. You think? Like, would you leave?
I won't go to
keep-
Dubai. I'll go to
or
El
maybe
Salvador.
not Dubai, but yeah, somewhere else.
Maybe Italy, because I have family that was born there, and I think they give dual citizenship. So I got to travel, but I would definitely, like, El Salvador is a place that I would consider. Or, even parts of Mexico too. My daughter's Mexican, part Mexican on her father's side, so it'd be cool for her to be around her people.
Yeah, there you go. Cinco de Mayo, baby. You know what I mean? Well, Wendy, I'm going to make this short and sweet because I know you're busy. I'm busy.
I have to eat
running
lunch
around
too.
Today. I got to travel today. It's a crazy day. But I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Most people know you, but if anyone that just hit my channel today, just by the algorithm, where can they find Wendy O? Where can they hear? Where do you tweet? Is it tweeting
Everywhere.
that you're talking?
No, I'm everywhere. I'm on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. You could go to my website, cryptowendyo.com. It has all the links there. Don't get into DMs with me because it won't be me. It'll be an impersonator. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It was an honor to hang out and chat. I'm going to go make myself a keto lunch.
One last thing I want to say is because you didn't always do the O Show, right? It was like maybe you had your YouTube channel, but when did you start the O Show? Or has that always been going since you started the channel?
I kind of just called it the O Show the last 3 years, but I've been streaming and making videos since end of 2018. No, since summer of 2018.
There you go. Look at that OG in the space. Wendy, thank you for your time. God bless you, and I'll see you on the next videos.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.